Dr. Nandipha Magudumana claims she was forced to leave South Africa by her lover, Thabo Bester, who is also accused number 5 in the matter. The startling details of her departure from South Africa and arrest in Tanzania came out for the first time in an affidavit read out during her bail application. Magudumana claims she was scared, defenseless and helpless. She says she had no one to report due to the threats, made against her. We speak now to Newzroom Africa's Mnisi, who is standing by. And so, for the very first time, Mnisi, ever since she started appearing in court, she broke down, in particular when details about her children were read out from that affidavit.
Yes, indeed, due to a sobbing, Nandipha Magudumana sat in the dock while her affidavit was being read out in court, detailing essentially her personal circumstances, as this is her bail application, but also getting into how she left South Africa, which is a sharp contrast really to the display of affection that we saw earlier this month when she appeared alongside Thabo Bester. You would have seen in the dock how they were holding hands at that particular time, which is a sharp contrast really to what now she details before this court in a bid to attain her freedom. Quite interesting that she now gives us a brief background on how she left South Africa, because that has always remained a mystery, right? Even when she took to the Bloemfontein High Court, she just told the court that on the 13th of April, she was in Tanzania when she was arrested. This time around, she goes back to March the 17th, and when she left South Africa and the circumstances that surrounded her departure from South Africa. Interestingly, she tells the court that she was forced by Thabo Bester, who is accused number 5 in this matter. She was helpless, she was defenseless, and had no one to report to due to the threats that she says were being made by Thabo Bester. She had no idea where they were going when she was forced into that particular vehicle. Let's take a listen to that affidavit.
I nevertheless wish to provide the following context to how I departed South Africa. 8.1. On or about the 17th of March 2023, I was in company of accused number 5. 8.2. I was instructed and commanded by accused number 5 to get into a vehicle and leave the premises to a destination unknown to me at the time. 8.3. I refused and wanted an explanation, but he forced me into a vehicle. 8.4. I succumbed to the pressure due to the threats he directed at me. 8.5. I was defenseless, helpless, and with no one to report to at that time. 8.6. I complied with his instructions and was taken out of the country against my will. It should read 8.7. At all material times, I had no control over the situation because I was scared of the threats made by accused number 5. 8.8. I submit that I did not voluntarily depart from the Republic of South Africa as demonstrated above. And 8.9. In any event, I had no reason to leave the Republic of South Africa.
Important to note that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana says that she won't reveal her defense as yet, and she has a right to remain silent and will exercise her right to remain silent around this issue of how she left South Africa. So other details on how they left the country, which border they used, are still unclear. She will not reveal them at this point. She tells the court that she will not be revealing her defense because this may be used against her. She did, of course, as you mentioned earlier, also outline her personal circumstances, given that this is a Schedule 5 bail application, which means that she needs to detail her personal circumstances, and why it is in the interest of justice for her to be granted bail. She speaks, interestingly, about her background and that she has parents, she has siblings, but also she says that she was married or is married but separated with her husband. Quite interesting, given the fact that you'll remember there is, of course, that allegation that she took to the Pretoria High Court at some point and detailed how she was the customary wife of Thabo Bester. But she goes on to detail her personal circumstances, saying that she has 2 minor children who are aged 11 and 6 years old. The 11-year-old is in grade 5 and the 6-year-old is in grade 1. She believes she has, full parental responsibility and rights over her minor children. These are the same children that, of course, she left behind when she, according to her, was forced to leave South Africa, bound for a destination that she had no idea she was going to. So she's provided the court with an address which she will be found at, should, of course, she be needed, and should she be granted bail, and says that she will be staying with a friend who also has provided a confirmatory affidavit confirming that if she is released on bail, she will be staying with her. She's asked the court to grant her 10,000 rands bail, but that particular hearing has since been adjourned and will return at 2 o'clock. And the state asked for that adjournment given the fact that it wants to peruse over some details that have since come out, particularly, it says, with regards to the new address that has since been provided. Dudu?
She's asking for 10,000 rand bail, Linda Mnisi, and also argues that there will be no public disorder as a result of her being released on bail, as 2 other co-accused were released on bail.
Absolutely. She says she was granted, or her legal team were given a list of the witnesses, and she does not know the identities of those witnesses, so she will not be interfering with those witnesses. It's also quite interesting, Dudu, that she speaks about, not having any intentions to live the life of a fugitive. You'll remember we were told about the circumstances after her arrest, that she was found with her passport, an unstamped passport, in Tanzania, but she indicates that she only has 1 passport which was taken from her at the time of her arrest, and she says she has no intentions of living her life as a fugitive. Quite interesting, and it will, one waits to hear really what the state will have to say in opposing this bail application, because they did indicate that they will be opposing this bail application. Earlier, they tried to also address the issues around the civil litigation that she has initiated in the civil court. We understand that she's also filed papers at the Supreme Court of Appeal questioning the legal standpoint of these proceedings, given the fact that she's taken to the Supreme Court of Appeal and she's previously gone to the Bloemfontein High Court to seek her arrest, and subsequent arraignment to this matter declared a nullity. So, the defense clearing that out, saying that at all times she appeared before this court, even with that civil litigation continuing. She was, of course, bound by the orders that were granted by this court and was still detained at the Bizamagate Correctional Facility in Kroonstad. So it does not have an impact on the proceedings that are currently before this court, and that is why she believes that she can continue with this bail application. Dudu?
Okay, Linda Mnisi, thank you very much. We'll come back there at 2 p.m. when proceedings resume.